Hey, 7th grade. This is review for your language test. Today is April the 8th, Wednesday, April the 8th. We will look at your self-check a little bit and talk about what is going to be on test 709. Test 709 you're supposed to take tomorrow, Thursday. Make sure that you're taking 709. Make sure you get the right test out of your folder or wherever you're keeping tests and quizzes, because 710 will be there too. Take test 709, and this is review for that. Turn to your self-check. Let's just talk a little bit about a few things. Page 51, lesson 14, 7th grade language. There will be a section on the test just like 1 through 9. You will have the definitions of the parts of speech and fill in the parts of speech with their definitions. There will also be a sentence like number 9, where you need to put the part of speech on top of every word. Now I have a question that I want you to think about. We're going to do number 9 here together, so follow after carefully. Fill in the correct part of speech if you don't have it right. Number 9, I have a question about hurry. What is hurry? So if I say hurry, and it has an exclamation mark. Now the book has it as an interjection, but I don't think hurry is an interjection. Hurry would be a what? Think about it. Hurry is actually a complete sentence, right? It's an imperative sentence. The subject is you understood, which means that hurry is a verb. Hurry is not an interjection. Hurry is a verb. It is not the same as saying hooray or whatever interjections there are that you use, all right? It would be the same as if you would say quiet, all right? A command. You be, actually not quiet, what would quiet be? It's ordering you to be quiet, but it's not just one word. Yeah, there's others like that. Stop. Okay, but stop with an exclamation mark, that's not an interjection, it's a verb. Hurry should be a verb. Okay, follow after carefully. Let's do the rest of this sentence. Part of speech. We is a pronoun. Have is a verb. Only is an adverb. 15, adjective. Saying how many minutes, which is a noun, minutes. On is a preposition. The Parking, both adjectives. Meter is a noun. And is a conjunction. I is a pronoun. Am, putting are verbs. Am, putting, verbs. Not is an adverb. More is an adjective, saying how much. Money is a noun. In is a preposition. And it is a pronoun. Watch out for the possessive pronouns. I don't think there were any in here, but if it says his bike, then his, which is a pronoun, but because it's used with bike, saying whose bike, his bike, that would be an adjective. If it would say that bike is his, then his would be a pronoun, only if it comes before the word that it's talking about. All right, so watch out for those. There might be some of those in your test. I don't know for sure, but just look out for them. Part 10 through 14. There will be a section like this. Gerunds. Underline the gerund phrase and write what it is. Okay, remember a gerund is a ing word that is a verb form but functions as a noun. Therefore, it can be used anywhere that a noun is. Subject of the sentence, indirect, direct objects, objects of preposition, predicate nominatives, appositives. Okay, remember the appositives. Mr. Lauren, my teacher. Teacher is an appositive. Renaming Mr. Lauren. So be thinking about that. So number 11, the gerund phrase is working with wood. Working, you would circle, it's gerund. Daryl enjoys working with wood. Verb is enjoys. What is getting enjoyed? The working with wood. So that is a direct object. 13. Mom said, you can help me by reading Katie a book. You should not underline the prepositions when you're underlining gerund phrases. Okay, the gerund phrase is reading Katie a book, not by reading Katie a book. Because the gerund is not a preposition. The gerund is the object of the preposition. So your phrase is reading Katie a book, circle reading, and it is an OP, object of the preposition. Number 10, just look at number 10. Finishing his essay would be a what? Finishing his essay, that gerund phrase is a positive. He hopes to achieve his goal, finishing his essay. That's in a positive, so watch out for those. There will be a section like that on your test. Finding gerunds, gerund phrase. Make sure you include the entire gerund phrase. Okay, there might be a prepositional phrase within the gerund phrase that goes with it. Make sure that you underline the entire phrase. That was a common mistake on, was it the quiz that you did before? Yeah, the first quiz that you did. Passive and active. So know how to identify a passive or active sentence. Passive is when the subject is not actually doing the action. Active is when the subject is the one that's doing the action. So number 15. Mom's beautiful antique lamp was knocked over by the soccer ball. What action is the lamp committing? Right? None. The lamp is not what's knocking anything over. That's the soccer ball. Right? So in this case, the subject is lamp. Was knocked. Lamp is not doing the action, so that is passive. Number 17, the verb have been hauling. Sam, Tony, and Jeff have been hauling. Sand for the sandbox. All right, and that is active. Sam, Tony, and Jeff are actually doing the hauling. That's active. The subject is doing the action. Remember how to change these sentences around. So if you have a passive sentence, how do you change it to active? All right, so you have From the New World was composed by Antonin Dvorak while he was living in the United States. All right, so that's passive. That book or whatever, or the song From the New World is not doing the composing. The Dvorak is, all right? So you should change it to make it active. Anton Dvorak needs to be the subject. Anton Dvorak composed From the New World while he was living in the United States. Would be how you switch that around. How do you change a active one to a passive one? So Sam, Tony, and Jeff have been hauling sand for the sandbox. What you would say is the sand for the sandbox was hauled by Sam, Tony, and Jeff. That would make it passive. So recognize active and passive. Active is when the subject is actually doing the action. Passive, the subject is not doing the action. Know how to switch that around. Know the definitions for 19 through 22. On your test, there will be a fill in the blank where you have to fill in the blanks for these definitions. Okay, so it will have, for example, I'll give you an example of what it might look like on your test. A simple sentence contains one blank clause, and that word would be independent. Okay, so know the definitions. Number 19, a complex sentence, or one independent clause and one or more dependent clause, that's complex. 20, two independent clauses and one or more dependent clauses. So at least two independent clauses with one or more dependent clauses, that is compound. The two independent clauses makes it compound. The dependent clause makes it complex. So that's compound, complex. 21, two or more independent clauses, compound. And 22, one independent clause is simple. There will be two sentences that you have to label whether or not they are, I think it's just simple and compound actually. Underline the verbs twice, the subjects once, write simple or compound. So the one will be, maybe they'll both be simple, but I would imagine that one is one and one's the other. So you're not even having to label. There is a section where you have to, label compound, complex, compound, complex. There's a section where you bracket the dependent clause, okay? The dependent clause starts with either a what or a what, subordinating conjunction or a relative pronoun. Those are on your reference sheets. Use them, all right? So if you know the definition of all these, then you can label whether they are compound, complex, or compound, complex. All right? So number 23, through the long cold night, men search for the lost child. That is a simple sentence. The subject is men, the verb is searched. That's all there is. One independent clause. 24. Aunt Elizabeth will come over when she can. When she can is a dependent clause, right? When is a subordinate conjunction. You have a subject, she can. The verb is can. So that is a complex sentence. 25. That tree should be cut down, semicolon. When the wind blows, it creaks and sways. So your two independent clauses, that tree should be cut down. It creaks and sways. And then you also have a dependent clause, when the wind blows, so that is compound, complex. That would be diagrammed on your two independent clauses that are connected by the dotted line, the bench, the chair, whatever you want to call it, with the conjunction or semicolon. And then your slanted dotted line with your dependent clause, when the wind blows on it. 26 is a compound sentence. A rescue team was sent to the avalanche area, but they could not ascend very far because of the danger of causing another avalanche. In this case, because is a subordinating conjunction, right? But also remember that because of is a what? Compound preposition. So that is not a subordinating conjunction there. Because of the danger of causing another avalanche. That is not a dependent clause. That is a compound preposition because of. So it's a compound sentence. I think that you will have to do this next part to, turning two sentences into a complex sentence. So you're adding a dependent clause so that you can make it one sentence. So in number 27, Dawn spilled the juice, the floor was sticky. You're supposed to make this an adverb phrase, adverb clause. You're supposed to add an adverb clause. So a subordinated conjunction. You could write, because Dawn spilled the juice, the floor was sticky. That's basically the way you would do that there. So turn part of that into a dependent clause, combine it into one complex sentence. "29 is a being verb. Was is a being verb. 30 you didn't have to do, but is becoming is linking. Street is becoming aggressive. The dog. The street is not becoming aggressive. Dog is becoming aggressive, right? So know your verbs. Know that action verbs go with your direct objects and indirect objects. Linking verbs go with predicate nominatives and predicate adjectives. I think there's a section on your test of just predicate nominatives and predicate adjectives, not direct objects and indirect objects. All right? So it will be similar to 35 through 38, but it will only have to do with predicate nominatives and predicate adjectives. So number 35, Crosby Newell is the verb, and author should be, actually it doesn't even, yes, you're supposed to go back then, label the predicate nominatives and predicate adjectives. Author is a predicate nominative, and that is linking. 37, Mom baked Barry chocolate chip cookies for his birthday. Verb is baked, that is action. So there might be some what? Indirect object, Barry, in parentheses, cookies is what was baked. That should be circled as your direct object. "39. Archimedes supposedly ran down the street shouting, 'Eureka!' What discovery was he celebrating?" asked Mr. Krantz. So that whole thing, except "asked Mr. Krantz," should be in quotation marks. Okay? But then within that, you have another direct quote. "Eureka" should have single quotation marks. So quotes within quotes, names of poems, songs within quotes get a single quotation mark around them, and you have the double quotation mark, and then within that you have single quotation mark. Diagram for number 41. You just have one main line with everything on the main line, actually, but the one part is a little complicated, right? The subject is Kim, enjoys is the verb, and then you have a gerund up on its pedestal, listening, and off of the ing you have the prepositional phrase, to music, classical. I think there is one diagram that has a gerund on it in the test, so look out for that. On your test, 2 of the diagrams are given for you. There are a total of 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 of the most complicated ones are given for you, and then there are 2 others that you'll need to figure out on your own. And they're not very long sentences, but just check the sentences out. When you diagram, check the sentences out. What's the subject? What's the verb? Is there a subordinated conjunction or relative pronoun which introduces a dependent clause? Is it a compound sentence? Subjects, verbs, direct objects, predicate nominatives, prepositional phrases. Know how to diagram all of that. All right? I have the diagrams for 43 and 45 on the board. You should, on your own, just see if you can fill in 44. I'm not going to give you the answer for 44, but you'll have a sentence like that with the diagram, so check it out. Make sure you can put everything at the right place. Number 43. Mark pushed the heavy desk, but he could not budge it. This is simply a what kind of sentence? This is a compound sentence. No dependent clauses, just 2 independent clauses connected with your conjunction here. Mark pushed desk, direct object, 2 adjectives, the heavy desk. But he could budge it, and not is an adverb. Put these from verb to verb. All right? Verb to verb. The conjunction. So that's number 43. Compound sentence. That is compound. "45 is just a simple sentence. That is an adjective. Story about Alexander's bad day is funny. Predicate adjective. So that is number 45. Test tomorrow. It is not a horribly complicated test, 7th grade, okay? Your 2 biggest diagrams are given. The diagram is given. So, yeah. I think you should be fine. All right, I will have a little announcement tomorrow morning to help you start the test. So make sure you're ready for that test tomorrow.